It used to be all about the stars, the star power, or the superstars, Diesel, but now it may be more about coaching. Surely not. Surely coaching really doesn't matter that much, right? Surely coaching isn't the great equalizer. We always have said that great coaches, they do find a way to get their teams to the big dance, playing the best ball, whether it be baseball, football, or basketball when it matters. But for so long, Diesel, the NBA had star power. And guess what we don't talk about as much when there's star power in the NBA? We don't talk about coaching as much. Now, there have been many amazing coaches to come through the NBA, but when you look at this conference finals, this year's NBA playoffs, it is a little bit different. Welcome into Wire to Wire. He's Diesel, sitting across from me today. I'm Cole Bryson. So good to be with you on this Tuesday, a beautiful Tuesday afternoon in the upstate of South Carolina. You can watch the show on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. You can also listen on 97.1 FM in Spartanburg, 97.7 FM in Greenville, or on the free Odyssey app, AUDACY. But maybe, just maybe, we don't talk enough about coaches, Diesel, because the coaches that are in the conference finals in these NBA playoffs, they're out coaching all the big names that aren't in the conference finals.
I don't know, man. I've never seen Greg Popovich score a double-double. I've never seen Doc Rivers go out there and hit 6 threes in a half of a ball game. I don't know about that, man. I mean, we've been taught now since the LeBronification of the NBA that it's all about the 2 or 3 stars that you can assemble on a team, and coaches don't really have a whole lot to do with it.
Yeah.
We talked yesterday about the cultural impact of Tiger Woods on golf. That's kind of a negative cultural impact that LeBron had on the NBA, and it's not really his fault. I think it really applies to the teams specifically that he was on, and how much influence and control he exerted on coaching decisions. And it didn't really apply to any other teams in the NBA other than teams that LeBron were on. But still, it, in the minds of a lot of fans, applied to all teams, and coaching was diminished.
Yeah, it's really interesting because you mentioned how we have been taught to view coaching. It's so fascinating, Diesel, because I have very close friends who are high school basketball coaches, football coaches, baseball coaches. I have friends at the college level as well, especially at like the Division II level. And every time you talk to them, you're blown away because you're just reminded, coaches really do know a lot more than the average Joe, the average fan, right? That should be a given. However, I think you're right in the sense, Diesel, that sometimes as fans, and I think we've allowed ourselves to do this in the NBA thus far, I think we forget that coaching really does matter. Coaching does matter. You look at the Timberwolves, what they've done, Chris Finch, one of the best coaches in the NBA. However, he's not Steve Kerr. He's not Greg Popovich, as you mentioned. He's not the big-name coach, Mark D. in Oklahoma City, Tom Thibodeau. He's been around the game forever. We all know how good of a coach Thibs is. And then you have Rick Carlisle, who's also been around the game forever, Diesel, when it comes to the coaches that are currently coaching in the NBA Conference Finals. I just think it's a good thing. We talked about this either yesterday or last week, that you want to have a blend, right? You want to have star power, but you also at times want to have parity. I think it's a good thing that we are being reminded in these NBA Conference Finals, Diesel, that, you know what, you can have star players, but at the end of the day, if you watch these NBA Conference Finals and if you watch these playoffs, coaching really does matter. Having the right personnel is obviously important, but these 4 coaches, they've done an extraordinary job thus far in the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, you can't deny. Anybody who knows sports knows that coaching matters. Your average lay fan kind of looks at coaching almost as the enemy of talent. And we've kind of been taught this over the last 20 years of watching sports, that it's players, player-driven league. It's players. Coaches don't have anything to do with it. No. Coaches don't do anything. They just sit on the bench and twiddle their thumbs and stick them up their butts and call timeouts and make bad – when it's a bad decision at the end of the game, it's 100% on the coach. But when a good decision gets made, it's on the players, right? It's the players get credit for that. So, I'm glad that it feels, Cole, like we're in an era of sports in general, but the NBA specifically, to the point of this conversation, healing back to the fact where people understand that all of it matters. Coaching matters, talent matters, having 5, 6, 7 guys on your team that matter, affecting games, that players, like role players, can still have a major impact on the game. It's not just about the 1 or 2 stars that you can put together.
And you know what's interesting about it, man? In the modern day, in the current NBA, we see coaches just canned all the time. Like, you win championships and you're canned, right? Just a couple of years. Ask Malone, right? Ask Malone about that. We did a segment about it like a couple of months ago about all the coaches that have won championships that have then gone on, Diesel, to be fired. It is really interesting because there's no doubt that talent matters. There's no doubt that star power matters. You've got to have the stars. And it leads me to this question that I do want to ask the Tolos on this Tuesday. By the way, let's get the interaction going. Tolos, want to hear from you. You can comment on the stream if you're watching on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. You also can text the Hub City Spartanburgers text line right now at 844-FAN-PHONE, 844-326-3663. Phone line's also open, Diesel. But when you are a fan of a sport, I want to know from you, I want to know from the Tolos out there right now during this segment, do you as a fan prefer parity that we just kind of let into with the coaches and the star power, or do you prefer the star power? Do you prefer parity? Do you prefer the star power when you sit down and watch the conference finals and when you watch the NBA finals, you, Diesel, you, Tolos, parity or star power?
I want to see parity, and I love it, Cole. Honestly, the truth is I love it when parity and star power clash, right? When teams that have quote-unquote lesser talent on the court, but they have, an old crafty veteran coaching, can get one over on the teams that supposedly have the most star power. I love it. We've gotten into an era so much where things are cookie cutter, where everybody's kind of doing the same things, especially in football. But a lot of these teams are built the same way. It's, let's get a couple of point guards that can move the ball around. We need a couple of power forwards that can still pop threes, and we'll just run and gun and shoot threes, and everybody get back on defense. And everybody sort of plays the same brand of basketball, but the way that the NBA draft works and, the ability to trade, move players all over the place, it throws a monkey wrench in the way some of these teams are built. So I love it when these two styles clash.
And you know what's interesting about the question that I just asked you and the Tolos, Diesel, when it comes to parity or star power? I think, how in today's world there are so many former athletes that are on television and so many former athletes who are in sports media.
Everybody's got a podcast now.
They do, and I think there would be a lot of people who would have an issue. Like, let's just say, for example, if Kendrick Perkins were asked this question, or any former athlete, not to pick on him, but if any former athlete heard this question the way that it was worded, they might think it was disrespectful on my part of asking the question this way, parity or star power, because, Diesel, they may say, hey, it's disrespectful that you think this year's conference finals is complete parity and there's no stars. Ask Jalen Brunson. Ask Tyrese Halliburton. Ask Anthony Edwards. Like, those guys are stars, but they're not the superstars that we are used to seeing in the NBA playoffs, especially when you have runs with like the Spurs, the big three, and then you go up against the Heat and you have the series for so many years with Golden State and Cleveland going back and forth, and Denver with their superstars and Nikola Jokic. We do have really, really talented stars in these conference finals. I just think it's a matter of, are they stars, Diesel, or are they superstars? I think there's some guys in these conference finals right now that could one day be superstars, but I think right now they're just stars.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of goes back to what I've been saying a lot over the course of these playoffs, that 5 or 6 stars can beat 2 superstars on any given team. I mean, look, Giannis is a superstar. What's Giannis doing right now? I don't know, fishing somewhere? I don't know what Giannis is up to in the offseason. Where's LeBron right now? I don't know. Probably making some business deal, making a tremendous amount of money right now. The superstars are all sitting out somewhere. It's the stars that you're right, could emerge one day as superstars. And, you hope that you can keep these teams together as much as you can, but that's just the nature of the NBA, and guys who are deemed the stars get paid a lot of money and teams get broken up. You'd hope you can keep these teams together in perpetuity and have them just go on crazy runs. But you're seeing the teams with a lot more varied scoring and defense and tenacity winning games rather than the ones that can just go out there and knock down threes.
So let's get into it, Diesel, and let's make some predictions. Let's see what we think, and the Tolos as well, what they think's going to happen in these NBA Conference Finals that begin tonight. How about that? 8:30 p.m. Timberwolves and Thunder, the Western Conference Finals, Game 1. The Oklahoma City Thunder, Diesel. In this Game 1, which the game, by the way, is taking place in Oklahoma City. It's a home game for the Thunder. The Thunder are favored by 6.5 points tonight. Let's make some. Let's put our prediction hat on in this segment, and like I said, Tolos would love to have you play along as well. When we look at this matchup, we'll start with this one because there's the Eastern Conference Finals game starts tomorrow. Timberwolves Thunder tonight. Obviously, the Thunder, really good team, 68-win team, Diesel. With them being at home, obviously they have a few points thrown their way in terms of the spread. Anthony Edwards, though, on the other side tonight in Minnesota. In your mind, and I'll tell you mine as well, not who wins tonight, but who advances in this series, Minnesota or Oklahoma City. Tolos, also, you can send your text in as well at 844-FANFONE.
I'm going to say the Thunder advance in 6. I think it's going to take 6 games to get there. Timberwolves not going to win tonight because we saw what happened last time around when they had to sit for a little while, and the Timberwolves, they dispatched their opponent a little bit faster. The Thunder may be a little bit tired, but they've also been playing, meaningful basketball over the past couple of days. So I think the Timberwolves start a little slow, lose tonight, win game 2, and then this thing goes back to Oklahoma City, and we'll see what happens from there. But ultimately, I think the Thunder do win in 6.
You like the Thunder in 6 in this series. That's interesting. I was super impressed with Oklahoma City, not only what they did in the regular season, but them knocking off Denver, right, which is a feat. Knocking off the Denver Nuggets with 2 of the best players on planet Earth in Jamal Murray and Nikola Jokic. I don't think people talk about how impressive that is enough. The Lakers couldn't beat them the last couple of years. Minnesota being the underdog tonight is really, really interesting. Home favorites, Diesel, who are coming off of a Game 7, are 10-12 straight up and 6-15 against the spread. In the conference finals, home favorites off of a Game 7 are 2-6 straight up and 1-7 against the spread. The Nuggets and Warriors just beat that trend in the previous round. But this is an interesting matchup. I do like what you said with the Oklahoma City, obviously them being favored, Diesel. Here's what I do look at, and I know records don't mean everything. The Minnesota Timberwolves have won 49 games, right? Which is good and very impressive. Oklahoma City's won 68. I mean, you're talking about almost 20 more games this basketball team's won. How do you pick a Minnesota team to win the series when they're going up against a team that's won 20 more games in the same conference? The reason I say that is my heart, Diesel, wants to pick Minnesota. I just don't know if I can. My heart wants to see Anthony Edwards. I will tell you, I think Oklahoma City has more complete of a team. I think they have more complete of a team. I want to see Anthony Edwards. I want to see him get – my heart wants Minnesota, but my mind kind of tells me maybe Oklahoma City's just the deeper and better team in this series.
Your heart is telling you no, but your body is telling you yes.
I don't know, man. There's something about it for me. I really do want to see. OG Tolo JB says, I say the Timberwolves beat Oklahoma City 4-3 and win the Western Conference. Matt Kraft, I see you in the stream as well. What is your prediction for this one with Minnesota and Oklahoma City? I think I'm gonna agree with you, but I'm going back and forth. Going back.
Neither outcome would shock me. I mean, It wouldn't shock me if the Timberwolves push this thing all the way to 7. It wouldn't shock me if they win the series. I'm not predicting it, but I could certainly see it happening. They're a really, really good basketball team, but man, they are going up against the best team in the West.
Let's see what the money's on tonight. 55% of the bets, Diesel, and 59% of the money are on the Thunder to cover the spread tonight. 43% of bets and 75% of the money are on the money line on the Timberwolves to win outright. Let me repeat that. 43% of bets and 75% of the money on the money line are on the Timberwolves to win outright tonight. So a lot of money has come in tonight on the Timberwolves, which is interesting with them being, 7.5 point underdogs. 96% of bets and 96% of the money, Diesel, that's come in on tonight's game are on the over. Over-under on tonight's game is 217.5. Quick math, 217.5 divided by 2, 108-ish. So the money, 96% of the money is on the over tonight, thinking a pretty high-scoring game in Game 1. Also, tomorrow night, the Eastern Conference Finals begin. We've talked about the Western Conference Finals. You picked the Thunder in that one. In the West, in the East, Pacers, Knicks. Tyrese Halliburton is about as good as anybody right now, but I am going to go with New York simply because they'll have that one home court advantage, Diesel. I'm going to go with the Knicks. I don't feel great about it. I think it's a 50-50 split here. You going Pacers?
I'm going Pacers.
Okay.
These Knicks, man, was it Friday's game? They had a chance to close out at home in Madison Square Garden. They didn't just lose. They forgot how to play basketball.
Yeah.
I mean, they were terrible. So we don't know if that performance is going to rear its ugly head again in the Eastern Conference Finals. We don't know if it's going to pop up 2 or 3 times. Now, we do know that the Knicks, when they get down, they're not out, right? I mean, they came back from down 20 twice against the Celtics to win Game 1 and 2 of that series. So they're never counted out. But, man, they just have this tendency. I don't know what it is, and I don't know why it is, because they've got so many stars all over that court that they will give up a big-time lead. They will play terribly in the first half and come charging back in the second.
Yeah, I'll tell you this. Usually, Diesel, in the NBA Conference Finals, I will definitively have a pick. I will, without a shadow of a doubt, tell you, hey, this team's going to win. Or Cleveland. It's usually easier. This year, when I'm looking at these Western and Eastern Conference matchups, I just simply don't know. I think it's a coin flip. I mean, I think the Thunder have a really good shot, to your point, to get past the Timberwolves, but when in the East, I don't know. I really don't know. I think the Pacers have the team to do it, but then again, Jalen Brunson's just been special at times. If he can be special, plus Karl Anthony Towns, I don't know. I think New York can do it. JB says Knicks beat the Pacers 4-2. So you have it going 6?
Wow, Knicks
JB.
and 6. All right.
Knicks and 6. How about
this?
that?
We are unveiling. I didn't say we. I don't mean we. Like StreamYard, our platform that we use to stream our show on, has unveiled a brand new feature, Cole. And if the Tolos like it, we'll keep using it. We'll have to do some retooling to make it look better, to optimize it a little bit. But now, considering most streams have had this for years, StreamYard has finally given us the ability to show the messages that are coming in on the stream live on the screen while people are watching us.
Like that.
It's always been a problem where, and this is StreamYard, thanks a lot, guys. If somebody's watching on Facebook, they can't see the comments that somebody who's watching on YouTube are commenting.
That's right.
You can't cross the streams, as it were, back in the day, the Ghostbusters movie. But now we're crossing the streams, okay? So any comment that comes in, regardless of platform, will show up on the screen as it's happening. Now, obviously, we're going to have to do a little changing up and fix our background because it's not optimized. This optimized for this feature. It's just launched today. And
Look
if you
at
guys
that.
like
Look at
it,
StreamYard.
Yeah.
Step it up. Diesel, I like it. The only thing I'll say is, and I'm not watching as the Tolos are on the stream, it looks small from my. It
is
small?
itty bitty. There's no way to change it as of right now. There's no way to change it, but we'll see.
What about us and the? That doesn't really make it any better either, does it? Man.
No, we can't do that. We move it. Nothing.
Move it around. Nothing. Nothing.
Yeah, I mean this.
We'll work on it a little bit.
Sorry, don't mean to give anybody who's watching motion sickness because we're dancing.
We have a lot of
screen.
buttons to click sometimes down here. That is interesting because we've always said our Tolos have brought it up. Look, if you like you said, if you're on YouTube and Wesley Roberts is on Facebook, they can't see each other's comments. So
the only way they know what the other person is saying is if we read it on the air.
I like that. Hey, Tolos watching, is it a lot bigger on your end than it is for us? Don't do it.
I was wondering how long it was going to take you to hear that.
Don't you do it. Don't you do it. Don't you do it. Okay, let me start. Are the comments larger on your end than they are on our end?
If you full screen it, and I've got it full screened on my TV now, on my monitor here, it's readable. Now I can't.
I just did that too. Yeah.
It's better.
That's nice.
It's better for us if we full screen it, but then we can't interact the way that we would like to.
I like that. How about that?
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, look, I think all we need to change on here, and this is great radio. I'm sure you told those really love this. All we need to do on the stream is take away our Twitter handles, move those somewhere else on that screen, and they'll be able to see everything just fine.
And that's a good reminder for you out there, for those Tolos out there listening on the radio, to hop in the stream when you get home. After you get home on the way or to work, hop in the stream, Diesel. All right, real quick, before we run to a break.
Did you see what Madcraft just said?
He's an idiot. He's an idiot. He's an idiot. I'm not going down that road.
April Mosley says, Madcraft, what's your number?
Sorry, everybody. I'm sorry. Real quick, to reiterate, for those that just tuned in, Timberwolves Thunder tonight. Diesel's picking the Oklahoma City Thunder, right? I'm going to go, just for the heck of it, I'm going to go opposite. I'm going to pick Minnesota, and I'm going to go in 7. Minnesota in 7. I'm going to put my faith and trust in Anthony Edwards in this series. Wednesday night, tomorrow, Eastern Conference Finals begin. Pacers, Knicks. Diesel's going with the Indiana Pacers.
Tyrese Halliburton, lift the band, bring back the dad, let him on the court, let him wave the flag in people's faces. I don't know that Jalen Brunson, he's lived in New York long enough. I don't know that you want to wave a flag in a New Yorker's face.
And again, just to be opposite here, I'll go with the opposite. I'll go with New York Knicks. I have the Knicks and the Timberwolves. I told you that to my heart once. I'm going to go with my heart. I don't know if that's going to work or not. You're going with the logical picks there. I'm going with my heart. We'll see who makes it to the NBA Finals.
When we come back, the strongest evidence yet that the NBA draft process is, in fact, rigged. That's next. I thought we were going to talk about the NBA draft being rigged in this segment, but now they're just singing David Allan Coe lyrics in the comments section.
I'm contributing
Look
to that.
at you.
I'm sorry. I am contributing.
Before you even got to the station in your pickup truck, you're taking us off the rails.
I know it.
On the stream comment section. Tolo's
That's
having fun.
such a good song. I didn't bring that up. I think it was Madcraft's fault that we got started on David Allan Coe there. But yeah, it's a song that it's a good old classic, man.
Stephen Webb asks, am I all by myself in here? No, Stephen Webb, you're not by yourself. Look on the screen in the corner. The fine folks at StreamYard have just unveiled a brand new feature. Now, again, we're going to have to do some editing of our background screen to optimize this for you guys. But you can see comments as they're happening live on screen in the bottom right-hand corner. That's awesome. That's a brand new feature that, honestly, every other live stream technology has had for years. But, better late than never, I guess, with StreamYard. So, what we were talking about, teasing in this segment, NBA draft being rigged. Everybody all up in arms that with a 1.5% chance to get the number one overall pick after just trading away their franchise player, the Dallas Mavericks, defy all odds. And they get the number one pick. So you lose Luka. You're going to get to replace him immediately with Cooper Flag going forward. And fans say rigged. They say shenanigans. Well, now, Cole, I want to know if you take this as any kind of proof, evidence, whatever, that the NBA draft is, in fact, rigged. Shaquille O'Neal apparently has told this story in the past, but it is just now making a tremendous amount of waves. Shaquille O'Neal went on the Clutch Points podcast, talked to the host over there, and told her a story that very much makes it sound like the NBA draft lottery is rigged. Here's what Shaq had to say.
I don't know if you heard this story, but in 1992, I think the draft was in June or something, I meet Mr. Stern in March. And he says to me, hey, no, you are. Can't wait for you to come to the NBA. Then he pulls me to the side. You want to play where it's cold or where it's hot? He asked me that. Yeah, he did. He asked me that, and I was like, hot. And he smiled, and I smiled. And then a couple of days later, they had the draft thing and, the top three things. And then Minnesota was number 3. I was like, and then Charlotte was number 2. And then Orlando, Florida was number 1. I was like, I didn't think anything about it, but, you hear a lot of these conspiracy theories, and, there's a lot of situations that could make these things sound good and sound true. Like, okay, Dallas gets rid of one of the best players, but, we're getting a new one. Ding, 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 ding. So I don't want to use the word conspiracy theory, but very interesting how it all played out.
Very interesting. Very
you gotta
interesting.
say it like him. You can just barely understand. You get like one of every 4 words with Shaq.
His vocal cords are like 5 times bigger than mine. How am I supposed to talk in that deep of a voice? I can't do it. But I mean, that right there feels like it's something, right? It's not nothing. It's not nothing to have the sitting commissioner of the NBA at the time, David Stern, ask a player, where do you want to play? Warm or hot? And then it just so happens to be somewhere that it's hot that he gets drafted. I mean, it smells. It smells.
What? Let me ask you this, though. What player would say, oh, yeah, I'd rather go play when it's cold?
Somebody who's from up north.
Oh, no. They want to get out of that crap. They want to get out of that north. They come down to the south. It is interesting. Like, here's what I will say about that comment. I've never heard that before. That audio is really fascinating. If you told me that somebody said that like in passing, like it was kind of a joke, like David Stern, like, Shaq, where you want to go play, man? Where you want to go play? But the fact that he said hot and he went to the state of Florida.
Yeah.
I
mean, look, there's so if anybody's wondering all the evidence, I went back and was doing some research on all of the supposed evidence that the NBA draft lottery and process is rigged. There's quite a few stories here going all the way back to just a year, Cole, after I was born. I was a wee little lad of 1 year old when the frozen envelope conspiracy happened with the 1985 NBA draft, where the Knicks got the first pick overall. They selected Georgetown star Patrick Ewing. There were theories and conspiracies out there saying that they manipulated the draft process so that Patrick Ewing, the best prospect in the draft that year, would go to a major market team. One theory was that the envelope containing the Knicks logo in it was frozen. They had stuck it in a freezer, getting the paper cold, allowing David Stern to identify it by touch. I guess he stuck his hand down under a sheet, grabbed the thing, and pulled it out, and all of a sudden it says Knicks. There's other theories that the Knicks envelope had a bent corner on it, making it distinguishable from other envelopes in the box. But there's no evidence that either of these things happened. You know, once an envelope comes back up to room temperature, you got no evidence that it was ever frozen.
You know, the one thing about these theories, Diesel, that is kind of comical. You know, like in life in general, people with money, we see it in politics and other spheres of life as well. People with money sometimes do bad things, like corrupt things. And for whatever reason, we've kind of made it seem as if in the sports world, this kind of stuff could never happen. Like it's pure. It's not WWE. It's not scripted. All these people have really good hearts. They're not going to do anything bad, even though they have billions and billions of dollars.
Fair. Everything is even and equal, and by chance.
I don't know. It does make you wonder, right?
Look, I mean, you hear the ultra rich all the time coming up with ways, stacking the deck, creating policy to make it easier for them to not pay taxes, to be able to stash their money here, stash their money there. We would all say, wouldn't it be great if the richest people in America paid their fair share of taxes the way everyone else has to? But they just have more opportunity to stack the deck, and that seems to be the case, potentially at least, with the NBA stacking the deck to make sure Patrick Ewing would go to the Knicks. In '92, you just heard Shaq talk about it. David Stern asked him, do you want to play somewhere cold or somewhere hot? Shaq said somewhere hot. All of a sudden, bam, he goes to Florida to go play for the Magic. In 2003, LeBron James went to Cleveland, his hometown team. They had a good chance to win the draft lottery that year, 22.5% chance to win the lottery, and they got LeBron. So, it's just a little weird that the hometown kid goes to Cleveland. It happened again in 2008 when the hometown kid, Derrick Rose, goes to Chicago to revitalize his hometown team. In 2012, Anthony Davis went to the Hornets, were the New Orleans Hornets at the time, by the way. The NBA owned the team, and it's a little interesting that the best player in the draft is going to the team that the league owns and is just about to sell. Really fascinating. And then 2025, with a 1.8% chance and having just gotten rid of Luka Doncic, one of the best players on the planet, all of a sudden the Mavericks get the number 1 overall pick to replace him. There's so many instances where you could easily point, if you were the kind of person who likes to believe in conspiracy theories, point at these things and say, all these things combined prove that there's collusion.
Which one of those do you believe, though? Are there any of those that you believe?
Which one do I believe?
I mean, I'll be honest with you. We talked about it last week with this year's lottery. Like this,
maybe AD to New Orleans. I could buy that.
Diesel,
honestly.
Let's just
a fledgling franchise that the NBA owns, that they want to sell and be able to make money off of, gets the number 1 overall pick, immediately increases the value of the team.
But when else does a 1.8% chance happen? Like,
it doesn't pay off.
When else
Never.
does that happen? It
Never.
doesn't happen. So, like, again, I'm the king that always says I'm always on the side of sports aren't rigged. The NFL's it's not rigged. The Chiefs aren't rigged. I'm always the king of standing on that side. However, like when you talk about 1.8% chance. That's crazy. That's really, really crazy to me. So I'm not saying like I believe it's rigged, but like I think the most interesting one's the frozen envelope with Patrick Ewing. I think that's the most interesting of the ones that you mentioned.
That's a fun one.
That one, I mean, how do you defend that?
So
if that really did happen.
How do you prove it? You can't prove anything like that. You can't prove a frozen envelope. I mean, and what if, I don't know how these things are, I'm just picturing a big basket with a sheet over the top, and that you stick your hand down through the sheet and you just grab an envelope. Well, how do you distinguish a cold envelope without it being stacked and like laid right on top and say, oh, this one's ice cold, let me take that one? I mean, because what if some of the coldness transfers to another envelope and you grab the wrong one by accident, and all of a sudden you're sending Patrick Ewing to the Lakers?
Have we just not have the dumbest ways of doing things? Cold on. I mean, what are we? Can we not figure out and just?
Have you not like read into and learned about all the conspiracies throughout history and the way certain political figures have been assassinated and killed and attempted to be murdered? Like people can get really inventive when they want to, and a frozen envelope. I mean, it's kind of like the ice bullet theory. Once the thing melts, you don't have any evidence.
Yeah, me and my buddies in college, we always got on that. We got on that binge of, like, it happened for like 3 months in a row. The binge of just watching every conspiracy video ever, and it was like every night we all watched.
It warps your mind, though, doesn't it?
It's just like, oh my god, what conspiracy video are we gonna watch tonight? I mean, I bet we watched 30.
Yeah,
I mean, just over and over and over. And over.
There's so many of those channels on YouTube that's all they do is live in the conspiracy theory world. And like, you have to want to believe in conspiracy theories to look past the very thin evidence a lot of the time. I went back, Cole, and I was wondering, have the Hornets ever had the number 1 overall pick? Because it feels like Charlotte constantly gets screwed in these situations. The Hornets perennially suck, but they have had the number 1 overall pick, 91. They had Larry Johnson. Pretend for a second that year, since Shaq brought it up, the Timberwolves, the Hornets, and the Magic, I would assume they were the 3 highest percentage chance to get it. A Shaq-Larry Johnson combo in Charlotte, how amazing would that have been?
By the way, before we run to a break, your favorite conspiracy theory, non-sports related, not that you believe in, but your favorite that you just like to entertain and read about.
Favorite conspiracy theories.
Mine's Kennedy, I believe.
Kennedy? Mm-hmm. There's people spent the last 80 years trying to figure that one
out.
But
I think that's the most
50
like
years.
There's a ton of 9/11 ones as well, but I just think those Kennedy ones they're fascinating, man. They're really, especially if you've been and seen like the grassy knoll and the what was it, the depository, and I mean it's,
as they said in what was Stanley Kubrick movie, The Book Suppository.
Yeah.
No, I like a lot of the ancient civilization stuff. You know, they found something in this place that in no way, shape, or form should it actually have been there. Those are wild stories.
Yeah. What are yours, Tolos? I don't know what your not plural, yours. If you had to pick just one, what would your favorite? Maybe that's a good summertime topic that we'll rehash a little bit later in the dog days of summer. Lou Bezjak had some really good audio yesterday from a new member of the South Carolina Hall of Fame. Who was it? In case you missed it, we have that audio for you next. 7. I'm done. I'm
what?
done.
Huh?
I'm done.
Huh?
I'm done for the day.
Say what?
I hate when I do that. I hate when I do that. It just messes you up. And then you're like, oh, you can't go back and say what you're going to say. You start talking, don't turn the mic on. We have a sucky producer.
Womp womp.
I'm kidding, by the way. I forgot to turn on the mic on. I started talking. Nothing came out. Diesel, stop it. 76 Tolos watching on the stream right now. It's one of those days, it looks like. You can watch the show live if you want to see our faces on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. He's Diesel. I'm Cole Bryson. So good to be with you on this Tuesday edition of Wire to Wire. There was one local coach who we talked about yesterday who was now inducted into the South Carolina Athletic Hall of Fame, which is a pretty freaking big deal with South Carolina baseball. Landon Powell, audio from Lou Bezjak, courtesy of Lou, on Twitter yesterday after Landon was inducted into the South Carolina Hall of Fame.
This is just a very humbling night, to see all these great athletes, coaches, and contributors to different sports. To be mentioned in the same breath with them is an honor, let alone be named into the Hall of Fame. I didn't grow up in the state of South Carolina. I was a North Carolina boy, so didn't anticipate this would be something in my future that I would be a part of the South Carolina Hall of Fame. But I'm really grateful to be named, and I'm just really proud and excited for tonight.
What do you remember the most about your playing career here and everything?
I loved my playing career at South Carolina. I had a great experience. It was a perfect choice for me as a university, and I played with great teammates and had great coaches, and I fell in love with this university. I didn't know a ton about the University of South Carolina when I was coming here. I came here to play for Coach Tanner and Coach Toman. So when I got here and I realized what a perfect fit it was as a school, it fell into place for me. I met my wife here, I'm lifelong friends, and we won a lot of baseball games. We were the winningest program in Division I baseball those 4 years that I was here because of the teammates and coaches we had. So I wouldn't take back a single minute of it. It was a great decision for me, and I will always look back on my time here in Columbia with a lot of great memories.
Diesel, I don't think people realize what Landon Powell as an individual, as a human, has contributed to the game of baseball. From growing up in North Carolina, as he mentioned, going to South Carolina, the University of South Carolina, playing for Coach Tanner, and as good as he was there, then going on in the MLB, having a really good career in the MLB, not like a Hall of Fame career, but he had a career in the MLB.
Caught a perfect game.
There's a very small list of catchers to catch a perfect game. And then he comes back, he coaches, a couple stops in North Greenville, takes them to a national championship, year in and year out in the playoffs, and the impact that he has on those players' lives each and every year. I don't think people realize just what he's done in his life, and when you talk about giving back because of the game of baseball. It's fantastic.
Yeah, I love hearing people talk about just the love that they have and the appreciation that they have for where they chose to go to school. That's not something that we're going to get for a generation of players, right? Who, for you can look at it one of two ways. We're forced to stay in the place that they originally chose, and they were forced to battle their way up through the ranks and earn their role as a starter where they go. Imagine a world where Landon Powell could have transferred. Would he have stayed at South Carolina? We'll never know, right? And if he didn't stay at a school for his entire career, as opposed to those kids who are bouncing from school to school to school, is there going to be a big old hole in a lot of states' inductions into their state halls of fame if a lot of these guys only played 1 year at a school in that state?
And obviously I'm very, very biased towards Landon Powell, having gone to North Greenville, Diesel, but this is what I tell people all the time when his name's brought up, whether it be for the South Carolina job or just in general speaking, you won't meet as many people that are as good of people as Landon Powell and as good as a coach as Landon Powell. So I think the people in the upstate need to be really thankful they have a coach like him right here in their backyard.
When we come back, Cole, the way that the Atlanta Braves are trending right now, there's a chance that they could win 100 games this year. How realistic is that? Realistically, where could they be by the All-Star break? That conversation coming your way next on the Fan Upstate. Well, when the Atlanta Braves started, they absolutely sucked, but they suck no more. Wire to Wire with Diesel and Cole Bryson. Welcome in, Tolos. Where you at on the text line? 844-FAN phone, 844-326-3663. The Hub City Spartanburgers text line. Alive-ish? You guys are really blowing it up on the stream, and that's awesome. We want to see the rest of you Tolos who don't watch live on the stream in the text line telling us what you think. The Atlanta Braves have recently, Cole, been on an absolute tear. They've won 9 of their last 12 games. They're plus 500. They got big-time pieces coming back to the lineup, and I dare say there's a chance, Cole, slim as it may be, if they keep trending the same way, because we know that trends are completely linear and they always go in the same direction forever, that this Atlanta Braves team is on track to win 100 games in 2025.
So you're telling me there's a chance?
There is a chance.
There is a chance.
100 is a smidge of a big ask for this
big
team.
what?
A big ask.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Listen, there's still going to be slumps. It's a long season. They'll peak and slump and peak. I do want to point out one awesome text, though, real quick on the Hub City Spartanburgers text line. Greenville Gamecock, big part of the show. He says, I was in Europe for a month for work, but I'm back, fellas. Greenville Gamecock, so freaking good to have you back. Hope your trip to Europe for
What were you doing, Greenville Gamecock? Were you over there, eating baguettes and
That's not a bad place to
smoking
go
communist
for a
cigarettes?
month,
what were
right?
you up to over
That's
there?
interesting.
Cool.
How about that?
Where'd you go? Well, it really depends on where he went in
Well,
Europe.
Europe's a big place.
It is. It's a large. South of France, great place to be. Certain parts of London, maybe not so much.
Depends what
maybe
part of
not
Europe
so
he
much.
was in.
Eastern Europe, I don't know. The only thing I know about Eastern Europe, I learned in the movie Euro Trip. I learned that Bratislava, while super cheap, super run down, has a great exchange rate, and you can be real rich with nothing but a nickel in your pocket.
Some parts that you probably wouldn't, want to.
No, there's places you don't want to go to. But back to the Atlanta Braves,
Back to the
Cole.
Braves.
Spencer Strider is coming back. He's
Tonight.
been activated. He is coming back tonight.
For
We're
now.
getting our boy back for who knows
Yeah,
how
I mean,
long.
he came back earlier in the season and got hurt again, went on the
Yeah.
15-day IL. Strider being back's big, though.
Yeah.
I mean, Strider's important when you look at what this Braves team didn't have in the beginning of the season. Obviously, key pieces with him and Acuna, but if you want to make a run, you've got to have Strider, because even though the Braves have been better lately, I still look at their pitching staff and think, there's some holes there.
They need some help, right? I mean, as good as some of these players have been, some of these pitchers have been, you can't expect that to continue forever. So giving them all one more day in the rotation to get a little extra rest certainly bodes well down the stretch in the back half of the season, that they may be able to stay just a little bit healthier. Also, Ronald Acuna Jr.'s return is imminent. He's been tearing it up down at Gwinnett and AAA. He's been tearing the cover off the ball. He looks like he's happy. He looks like he's having fun, despite all the rumors that Acuna is disgruntled with the franchise and
He
with the
apologized,
organization.
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you got him coming back. Again, 9 of their last 12, they've won. Olsen is hitting the ball. Albies is hitting the ball. Austin Riley is hitting the ball. Big Bear can't even keep it in the park. He's hitting the ball so hard. I mean, it feels like this team is back. Like the trend now is to say, oh, we're so back. That feels like that might be where this team is.
Well, they're definitely playing really good baseball. And, in the last 15 days, the ERAs have improved. There was a lot of conversation early in the season about Chris Sale and him losing a lot of velocity from last year, which is true. He did. His whip's better, though, 1.24 now than it has been. 1.40 ERA in the past 15 days. Obviously not a lot of starts in that, but year-to-date, Chris Sale, ERA 3.62. The pitching staff's, just parking on that staff for a second, it's not terrible. I still do. I look at it, Diesel, and I see some holes in the bullpen. I don't know if the starters are capable of going out and winning a bunch of games in the playoffs. Like Chris Sale, do you trust him to win a playoff game? Maybe, maybe not. I think it's a coin flip. Grant Holmes, I think it's also a coin flip with him. Now, I think most Braves fans would say Spencer Schwellenbach, yeah, we're comfortable with him right now. Ride that hot hand, right? He's been really good. And Smith-Shawver has been good at times, been bad at times as well. But outside of that, that's where I kind of start looking, and that's why you really need Strider, not only Diesel to come back, but you need him to stay healthy. And you need this staff to stay healthy, because if they are going to continue to play this way, this pitching staff's going to have to really carry a lot of the load, when we get to the summer months and start heading toward the fall when it really matters.
You look at who they face for the rest of the month of May. They got the Nationals, who stink. The Braves have performed well against them this season. The Padres, I can't believe, Cole, that they get swept by the Padres again. I mean, the Padres are losing to the Rockies, for crying out loud. They've kind of cooled off
and
just a little bit.
And the Rockies won last night. Their like 7th win of the season. How about that? You know why I know that?
Yeah.
I lost, anyways.
Lost money on it? I didn't think that was legal to gamble on outcomes of games in South Carolina. Friendly wager. It was a friendly wager. Padres, again, Nationals, Padres, Phillies, who are really good, and then they get the Red Sox at home. They just they're playing well against Boston. I think this Braves team is kind of turning around, Cole, now that the weather is getting hot. I mean, do I see them winning 3 out of 4 games forever? Of course not. That's a ludicrous ask for this team. But if you just go by the way they're trending right now with the remaining games that they have, their ceiling is 50 wins by the All-Star break. 50 wins by the All-Star break. That's crazy. So there's a chance that they can win 100 games.
That's a vast improvement. I mean, there's no doubt, in terms of how the season started. But, when they started 0-7, obviously I hit the panic button. Others hit the panic button. We were talking about the 0-7 Braves as if the sky was falling. However, if you look at what's changed since then, Diesel, Chris Sale has really gotten better. He had a rocky start, and in his last 4 starts, he has a 1.96 ERA in his last 4 outings. So 10 strikeouts in each of his last 2. That resurgence by Chris Sale, for whatever reason, he had a little bit of a slow start. That hurt the Braves. It really did. And I'm not saying it's all Chris Sale's fault that the Braves went 0-7, but he has played a lot better lately. You've had some younger pitchers step up as well. I talked about Schwellenbach and Smith-Shawver. I like those guys. I really do. I hope the Braves don't trade them off, here in a couple of years. And then mostly, Diesel, you look at the offensive contributions from key players that you were not getting to start the season. Much like last year, Ozuna was having to carry a lot of the load early in the season. He led the team in batting average for, a couple of weeks. Austin Riley, he's finally woke up. He's playing a pivotal role, Diesel, in the Braves' recent success, leading some comebacks, right, providing offensive firepower. And then how about Drake Baldwin? Who saw that coming? Like, if the season started any worse, I don't know that the Braves would have been able to climb out of this hole. But what Drake Baldwin's been able to do, a 3 of 4 performance against the Nationals, 2 RBIs. He's been sensational, man. He's been maybe the brightest of bright spots for Atlanta.
Yeah, Ozuna up to 267. Austin Riley's up to 287. Matt Olson has 9 home runs. I mean, they're putting bat to ball, and they're getting it out there and play. Now, obviously, they're having to lean, fairly heavily on some pitching over the last couple of games, and pitching has kept opponents' scores down. On 2 nights ago, on the 18th, they only gave up 4 runs, but they put 10 on the board. On May 15th, they gave up just 2 to the Nationals. And, so I think pitching is playing well. Defense is playing well. And we're finally starting to see these guys start to put wood on the ball. And they still have issues, obviously, with runners in scoring position. That needs to improve. But this is a game where you can't lean on one individual element of the game. You need all of them to work together to get dubs.
Hub City Spartanburgers text line is open at 844-326-3663. The phone lines at the exact same number are also open. Madcraft goes from the stream to the phone lines, wants to chime in. What's up, Madcraft?
Hey, what's going on, man? I want to tap onto this situation about, Drake Baldwin, man. When I was looking at their numbers earlier, him and Sean Murphy are pretty close to, without a doubt, the best catching duo in the league right now. And then I know that I had mentioned yesterday or the day before, whatever, that the Braves in the past month had the third best ERA from their starting pitchers. Getting Spencer Strider back, I think, is going to be interesting. He doesn't really have to have a great game for me tonight. I just need to see him pitch and make it out of the game.
That's right. Not get
I
hurt.
think that, once that. But next, I have a question for you, Cole, because I haven't looked this up myself. No, I haven't looked this up myself, so I don't really know. But if you imagine the Braves are scoring how many runs per game right now?
Right now, off the top of my head, I don't know. I'd say it's improved by a couple. I'd say it's improved by 2.5 runs.
I'm pulling up the schedule here right now, Madcraft. 10 against the Red Sox in their last game. 6, 4, 5, 4, 5, 4. So I mean, they're averaging right there in that 5 runs a game.
Yeah, probably about average league-wise. So I guess my question would kind of be is if Ronald comes back on Friday, what does that do as far as that? Because if he gets on base and it jumps as far as even 1 run a game, then we have to start going back to, how many games were the Braves? Didn't they break a record or something for 1-run games that they either won or lost?
Yeah.
It was 17 games. Right. So imagine if at that time you had Acuna, he was healthy from the jump, right, and they were scoring 1 run more per game than they are, what would happen? That's my kind of question about it, and that's why I never panicked from the get-go. I wasn't trying to jump on you, and I wasn't.
No.
It was 7, by the way.
Well,
it was 7 consecutive 1-run games.
And to answer your question, they're currently averaging 4.15 runs per game over 47 games. Now, if you looked at the last 20, it'd probably be a lot better. It's significant improvement, Matt Kraft, from the 0-7 start where they were averaging just 2.6 runs per game. So they were averaging 2.6 first couple of weeks. Now it's up to 4.15. And the Braves offense, I'm looking now at this page I have pulled up, still ranked 17th in total runs scored in Major League Baseball. So, while there has been improvement, there's still a lot of room for improvement.
It's also saddled by the first 7 or 8 games.
Yeah, 2 weeks probably.
Yeah. Yeah. So, no, I agree with you there, but I just wanted to chime in on that. I appreciate y'all taking my call there.
Anytime, Matt.
Thanks, Matt Kraft.
Anytime. 844-FANFONE.
A coherent conversation that didn't get chippy. Can you believe it?
God.
Wow.
Stop this press.
I'm not bagging on Madcraft. You and he have gone at each other for weeks now.
Yeah.
Over this, the Braves suck.
Maybe
and
it's
they
buried.
did suck at the time.
Maybe it's buried.
But
maybe that conversation's buried. I made a joke on the stream. I said, can Madcraft actually have I don't know what word I used. Let's see. I think I said, can Madcraft have a meaningful Braves conversation today without it turning into, who was right, who was wrong. And you're right. It was a good conversation there. It was a very good conversation for Madcraft. I will say this, though. There's improvement, room for improvement. Yeah, I think when Acuna comes back, obviously as long as he's Acuna. Now, the reality is, Diesel, he may come back and struggle out of the gate for the first 2 or 3 weeks, right? That's a possibility. That could happen. And if it does, it's fine. But
yeah, an elite player balling out at the AAA level doesn't tell me a ton. Mm-hmm. I mean, those are good players down there. They're not, it's not like he's taking batting practice from high school pitchers, but he's not playing against competition that's equal to his level.
I think the biggest thing is, and it's like I was saying at the beginning of the season, your stars, your Austin Rileys, look what they've done. Look how much they've improved now. Hitting 287 as of today is Austin Riley. Matt Olson now hitting 240. Those two were abysmal, Diesel, at the beginning of the season. They just couldn't hit a ball to save their life. And Drake Baldwin, I mean, if we would have said after the 0-7 start that fast forward to the middle of May, Drake Baldwin's going to be hitting 357 with an on-base percentage of 400, that's insane. That's insane for a guy who's, I don't know, Drake Baldwin, Diesel, I think he's 22, 23, he's 24. So all of a sudden, to Matt Graff's point about that catching duo, if the Braves decide, hey, we're going to hold on to Sean Murphy and Drake Baldwin for a good while, yeah, it's going to be probably the best duo in baseball. However, at 5 o'clock, we'll get into some possible trade rumors since the Braves are back in contention. Should they be buyers? Should they be sellers? Should you take a guy like Sean Murphy and try to fill some holes? That conversation we've had a couple of times. I also have a few more trade possibilities for Braves fans as well coming up at 5 o'clock. But the main thing is, Diesel, the hole that they dug, they got themselves out of it, and that's impressive. It really is.
Yeah, credit to this team. I mean, look, we can all sit out here from 2.5 hours to the Northeast and complain about the team, but they have a long season to go, and they don't want to suck for the entire season. So these are all pros. They've all been here before. They all know what to do. Some fresh blood coming in to help shake things up, and that's management's job, right? We started the show talking about coaching and how much that matters, and they're doing their jobs. It didn't start the way fans wanted it to.
No.
Expectations super high, but the coaching staff has done what they can to this point to fix it.
As of today, the Braves Diesel have played 47 games in the MLB season. Again, they're 24-23. With a 162-game schedule, that means the Braves have 115 games remaining. You threw out the number. Did you throw out 100 earlier in the segment? I think.
Yeah,
so.
they're on pace to win 50 games by the All-Star break if they continue at their current pace.
Which
is unsustainable, but still,
it's a nice pace, right? It's a nice pace to be at. Looking in the future, the Braves have the Nationals, Diesel, and the Padres, the Phillies, and the Red Sox to finish up the end of May. So some winnable games there.
It's going to be fascinating to see how this continues to play out as these Braves are hopefully finding their stride.
One more caller before we run to a break and bring on a big-time guest, by the way, today that we haven't even told you about. Tolo's really, really big guest coming your way. But first, the biggest of big guests, Rick and Greer wants to chime in. What's up, Rick?
Where are y'all at tomorrow? Which Ingles?
Your Ingles, Rick. We'll be at the Ingles in Greer.
I thought it was. I got to come out. Me and my girlfriend will come out.
Which one?
Yeah, which is a good question.
Do what?
Which girlfriend? Which state is this one from?
She's slightly big, but she's nice.
I didn't ask her if she was fat. I asked where she's from, Rick.
She's from North Carolina.
Oh,
jeez.
Rick, you're a trip. So are you going to come see us at Ingles? By the way, don't bring donuts. They have donuts there. The Ingles donuts are the best, man.
I'm bringing 2 dozen.
No, Rick.
No, Ingles has better donuts.
Do you understand the words that are coming out of our mouth?
Ingles.
I'm going to buy a dozen for you and bring them up front.
Oh my gosh!
Only if you buy them from Ingles.
There you go. And I've done really good these past few days, Diesel, in not eating donuts, and now Rick and Greer.
I haven't. I've got a bunch of muffins that I bought from Ingles.
Thanks,
sitting
Rick.
in my kitchen. Thanks, Rick.
Gosh.
You're making us gain weight.
He is awful, man. It's so funny. See you tomorrow, Rick. See you tomorrow. Hey, let's run to a break, Diesel. And on the other side, for the first time on this show, we'll bring on Pete Nakos of On3 Sports, college sports business, and transfer portal reporter for On3 Sports. He had a really interesting college baseball piece that I want to start the interview with that included one coach right here in the state of South Carolina. We'll talk to Pete next. this is going to be a lot of fun in this very segment. We want to really say thanks to Pete Nakos of On3 Sports for taking time to join us right here on the Fan Upstate. He's Diesel. I'm Cole Bryson. You can listen to the show, 97.1 FM in Spartanburg, 97.7 FM in Greenville, anywhere in the world on the free Odyssey app. Pete, always appreciate your time, man. I want to start with a piece that you had a couple of days ago now when it comes to college baseball and the coaching carousel with a picture and a tweet that you sent out with one in-state coach right here in South Carolina. That would be Paul Mainieri. Your thoughts on the carousel that's going to happen when the college baseball season comes to an end, and for those that have not read your piece on on3.com, exactly what you went into detail about when it comes to South Carolina and Paul Mainieri.
Yeah, thanks so much, guys, for having me on. And it's obviously conference championship week in baseball, so a lot going on there. I'd be remiss to mention first off, too, how many eyes are just on that Texas A&M job. What's going to happen there? We can dive into that more as this goes on. But, man, is that kind of like the headline going into this week in terms of the coaching carousel. In terms of South Carolina and Paul Mainieri, I know things haven't exactly gone the way everyone had hoped they would in year one. Everything I've heard from talking to sources is that he's going to get another year. As of right now, a lot of things can change very quickly in this day and age. So I'm not coming out and saying it's a done deal for sure, but that's just what I've been hearing in the last few days and felt confident enough from some sources I talked to indicate in my story that that's what I'm hearing at this moment.
Pete, I'm fascinated by another story that you're covering about the athletes.org organization of players that are going to have their chance to be heard by Congress. 9 times out of 10, when average Joes who are sports fans have the conversation about NIL and the portal, it's kind of wishing things would go back to the way that they were, but that's an idealist fantasy from their perspective, not a realistic idea of what could happen. So as players are now going to have the ability to essentially organize, not unionize, but organize and be in that room, what do you think athletes are going to have to give up that they currently have access to for the health of the sports?
I mean, listen, I think it's a good step in the right direction that athletes are meeting with senators and congressmen and elected officials in D.C. Now, what is going to come out of that? I think I'm skeptical of, just because of how many times we've seen a similar story, whether it be college leaders or Charlie Baker or something like that going to D.C. to ask for help. I think, listen, we're in this really interesting space right now in college sports, and I know for so many months of the year, I'm thinking of the transfer portal and stuff, and now it's May. You kind of get a minute to breathe and think about, where the college football enterprise is heading, especially now because there's so much stuff going on. I think that everything that's happening right now is going to lead to a point in the next 5 to 10 years where we get to collective bargaining, right, where athletes start to actively bargain with schools. And I think that action will lead to, a more stable enforcement where athletes are at a seat at the table and things like that. Now, the road to get there isn't straight, and it doesn't exactly go A to B all the time, and I think that's what we're seeing right now with so many different things going on.
And can you expand upon that with your conversation that you had with Jay Billis? I thought he had some pretty interesting comments in this conversation as well.
Yeah, Jay is always going to come to the table ready to talk. He cracks me up sometimes, and it was really good to catch up with him yesterday, and I thought he brought up a lot of good points. He mentioned how he's not exactly convinced that this presidential commission is going to work just because of the lack of success we've seen with, previous kind of projects elsewhere across college sports. And then he made a really good point about the House settlement that is supposed to be getting approved, sooner rather than later, that it just puts another illegal cap on how much athletes can make. Before it was $0. Now it's kind of this NIL collective space, and now it's going to become from the schools with another kind of a legal cap on it. So, super interesting. And I think the point that I think resonates with a lot of fans too that he mentioned is in college basketball specifically, but the same goes for football, that, viewership hasn't changed. The things the NCAA always said was going to kill the sport has not happened. If anything, it's made it more entertaining with more parity. And yeah, it's something that Jay brought up that, I agree with personally. But I think also kind of speaks to where we're at now, where a lot of people are yelling for a lot of things, but at the same time, the product on the field or the court, if anything, it's getting better.
Talking to Pete Nakos of On3 Sports at Pete Nakos _, where you can find him on Twitter. I was looking at the list of athletes who are going to be involved and talking with Congress. Athletes from all over the spectrum, all over the different sports, track athletes, lacrosse players, men's soccer players. How are they going to make sure, or how would you predict that they want to make sure they are protected when, football is always going to be the elephant in the room that the majority of the attention and the money will go to?
Listen, I'm not going to sit here and lie to you guys. I think that the group of athletes going to D.C., it's obviously important that their voices get heard, but I also think at the end of the day, too, that we're in a point right now in college football and college basketball where the faces of the sports still are not ready to kind of come out and be the faces of the push for athletes' rights. And until we get there, I don't know how convinced I am that everything's going to work towards collective bargaining and things like that.
What do you make, Pete, of the conversation you dipped your toes into earlier with Michael Early at A&M? We talked about one coach in this state with challenges in his first season, but it's different in Texas, and you're expected to win. They had high expectations going into the season, and obviously have had some setbacks in 2025.
Yeah, it's I think on paper they made the right decision a year ago in trying to keep the roster together, right? I think all of us would have agreed at the time that was the right call to try to keep a roster together, and doing that obviously had them number one in the preseason now. The non-conference losses with the Mizzou weekend sweep, it just doesn't put Michael Early in a good spot entering this SEC conference championship week. We'll see what they do against Mississippi State, but the seat is very warm. The buyout in terms of, what an SEC school is willing to pay if they feel like they need to do it, especially at a program like A&M at $3 million is not like, trust me, $3 million doesn't grow on trees, but at the same time, if A&M feels like they need to make a move, I don't think the money's going to stop them.
Pete, what can you tell us about the number one linebacker in the 2026 class, Tyler Atkinson? You posted a couple of hours ago on On3 that he was taking an official visit to Clemson. We know Dabo has his methods when it comes to offering guys that once he offers them, he wants them to shut their recruiting down. What can you tell us about Tyler and how, if you feel that Clemson has a good shot of landing him, he would be a huge get?
Yeah, he's going to visit Clemson May 30th. He'd be a huge get. It's a big battle though between Clemson, Georgia, and Ohio State. I know Oregon's trying to get more and more involved, and Dabo Sweeney and the staff were down to see him recently. I know they're going all out. I'll say getting the first OV is a good thing for Clemson, but we'll see how it kind of continues to evolve.
Pete, how has a job like yours changed, and not just with On3, but you cover college sports business, and now transfer portal reporter for On3 Sports and On3 NIL. What did the portal and NIL in your mind do for people like you in your position, and how your actual day-to-day jobs changed?
Yeah, I'll be honest with you guys. There's a funny thing. The funny thing with my job, I was talking to my editors 6 weeks ago, and I'm just giving an anecdote here. Where I was like, yeah, I don't want to step on toes. I don't exactly do football recruiting. And my editor was kind of like, Pete, what you do does everything now. You got to do everything. So I think that's like kind of the best example of what my job looks like. He was like looking at me funny, being like, "You're not actually going to sit it out because like there's serious money involved." I was like, "You're right. Like what's holding me back?" So, listen, super grateful for all my opportunities. On three has gone above and beyond to make sure that I've been able to grow and can't thank them enough. But yeah, it's something new every day, guys.
Pete, how much has and will the whole situation with Nico Iamaleava impact Tennessee when it comes to their ability to recruit? I mean, if I'm a hot shot quarterback coming out of high school or thinking about transferring in, I look at that and say, well, they don't really want to play ball. Have you seen any of that so far where elite talent has eschewed Tennessee for that reason?
No. Listen, I think this upcoming college football season is just going to be fascinating to watch at Tennessee because, I talked to a lot of college football coaches and a lot of people were celebrating what Josh Heupel did by, letting Nico walk and kind of being like, morally, we're not going to sit here and let you tell us how much money we should charge and things like that, or give you, I should say. On the flip side of things, though, when that happened, they're still months away from the football season, so you don't exactly feel the impact on the field right away. So how do things go on the field this year for Tennessee? I think is going to have a huge bearing moving forward on, does a school have to get in when a kid wants to hold out and ask for more money? When it's happening in the spring, it's one thing. It's another thing, though, when that player makes a major impact on the win and loss column.
Pete, you're the best, man. We appreciate your time, and we'll do it again soon.
Sounds good. Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Thanks,
Pete Nakos on 3 Sports. Diesel, I really want to touch on that. We hadn't had time to touch on it yet, but something that you brought up, Grayson Mann of TigerNet.com brought up earlier today as well with Tyler Atkinson, the number 1 linebacker in all the country, taking an official visit to Clemson. Pete touched on it there as well. But, man, that could be scary when you talk about the linebacking core with Sammy Brown and what Ben Boulware has done, kind of revitalizing that group. That could be huge. I'm not saying he's going to commit that. I'm not saying he's going to be wearing the orange helmet with a white pall, but that is a huge story to watch as Clemson could be. I mean, that'd be a big splash.
Look, I mean, Sammy Brown is correct me if I'm wrong here, going into his sophomore season or junior season at Clemson. Sophomore season at Clemson, and this guy Atkinson is in the 2026 class, which means he's not going to be on campus for another year. And you got to find a way to maintain your linebacking core. Sammy Brown is an excellent linebacker, but I mean, when he goes, who's going to be behind him? He could be the guy at Clemson, and they maybe won't spend a lot of time in the backfield together. But or the back end of that defense together, but they could have 1 year together and be a really, really scary duo. You're right about that.
Atkinson Diesel, 6'2", 210, out of Loganville, Georgia. You mentioned him being in the 2026 class. He goes to Grayson High School. Grayson High School has played several matchups in the last 4 to 5 years against schools from right here in the upstate, because I remember last year, I believe Dorman, Spartanburg's played Grayson. Grayson wiped, no disrespect to these schools here, but when schools here play Grayson, it's usually not close. They're that good. Like, they're really, really good. Atkinson has a 98 247 sports star rating, 247 composite. Diesel of 0.9937. His college list, I mean, you name it. Alabama, Auburn, Clemson, Georgia, Ohio State. He can go anywhere he wants. Navy, All-American Bowl on that roster. He's one of those guys that could emerge as like the soul of a defense. Great instincts, great athleticism. And at his age, what he's able to do at the high school level, he's going to bulk up. He's going to get bigger, but that's going to be a really big story to watch. So appreciate Pete for hopping on with us from On 3 Sports.
I do wonder, going back to that drop that Dabo had, and I'm I don't have the direct quote here in front of you, but he said basically for the first time ever, nobody's going to have more money than Clemson when it comes to recruiting. I mean, it's true in the sense that every school is going to be capped at the same maximum amount that they can distribute when it comes to revenue. But if your NIL wing isn't there, other schools are still going to be paying more than you will, right? I mean, you have two sources of revenue instead of one source of revenue or pay. And that's going to be fascinating to see how that plays out for Clemson. But, yeah, I mean, this would be a huge get if they could get him. On the other side of the break, Tolos, this is your first opportunity of the day to really participate in the show. We're going to try out a brand new segment idea called For Better, For Worse. Cole and I will present each other with some situations. What's better? What's worse? And we want you to do the same, and we'll react to it live on the air. That's coming up next on the Fan Upstate. floating into uncharted territory here, Cole, trying something brand new.
The live chat?
Multiple things, actually. There's a new background on the stream. How about that? Pointing you to the new live chat.
That. Let me make
it's
it
available
big.
for everybody. So cool.
Yeah, that does look good.
A new feature on StreamYard allows us to now put the live chat on the screen with us.
I like that.
Again, a feature that other software for live streaming has had for a long, long time. But hey, we're here finally. It's not about how you start; it's about how you finish.
I like it.
But Cole, another new feature that I want to try out and see if you like it, see if the Tolos like it, see if it catches on, is something I call For Better, For Worse. It's a very simple segment of the show. We ask each other questions, you and I, and the Tolos. They can jump in as well by calling 844-FAN-PHONE, 844-326-3663, and dropping it in the comment section on the stream. We ask each other sports questions just so long as it's framed as a better or worse question. You know, it's very simple. For better or for worse. Simple way is, who will have the worst record in baseball this year? That's a question that you could ask. It's kind of a dull question, but that's a question you can ask. So, Cole, we'll start right here with this. In 2025, what's better, the in-stadium experience for watching a game or the at-home experience for watching a game?
Consistently at home. A keyword consistently, though, unless you're a millionaire and you have unlimited funds and unlimited money. Now, I will say this. I love going to a game, whether it be baseball, football, or basketball, regardless. I love in person. I love it. However, if you ask the best experience, sitting on the television, getting commentary from two good commentators with camera shots that are really up close, you get to hear interviews. It's hard to beat it. Again, I don't want it all the time. I love my in-game experience, especially like at minor league parks. I mean, the Hub City Spartanburgers game, those are so much fun to go to. I wouldn't trade that, but consistently, I think, at home.
See, I disagree completely. For the longest time, we wanted everything so conveniently delivered to us. I think now people are aching for a level of authenticity with what they do with their daily lives that I think the live experience, the in-person experience is going to start coming back. Yeah, it's really that they can't just keep nickel and diming everyone every single time and keep customers. They're watching attendance numbers fall. So I think the in-stadium experience with the noise and the explosion of everybody yelling when something great happens, I still think that's better.
I'll let you ask your second because I don't have a good one. So I'll defer back to you.
What is the worst case scenario for the NBA if in some way, shape, or form it's proven that the NBA has been rigging drafts for the last 30 years?
Say that one more time.
What's the worst case scenario for the NBA if it's proven that they have been rigging drafts?
Man.
Like what could happen? Doomsday scenario for the NBA.
Goodness. Players are not gonna stop going to the NBA because there's so much money at stake. So what's the worst? I think the worst thing is it loses more credibility and popularity than it already has. And it's already lost a lot. The old heads don't watch as much as they used to, right? It's not Jordan's NBA anymore. I think it's reputation and credibility. I think that's the worst. And I'll tell you this, that could hurt. I mean, they've seen the NBA kind of dump and dip in ratings a little bit here and there. And I think at times it spikes. There's ebbs and flows, but the reputation, I think it could take a big hit.
I think we could see fans, especially Charlotte Hornets fans, class action suing the NBA for saying you screwed us out of decades of quality players. I mean, if you could prove that it was stacked for Cooper Flagg to go to the Dallas Mavericks, wouldn't every other team, especially those that had a higher percentage to get the number one overall pick, wouldn't they have grounds to sue the NBA and say you cost us potentially millions of dollars, billions of dollars by taking away this asset from us?
Could I then sue the Cowboys for 28 years of misery?
No, that's on you for being a Cowboys
do
fan.
that? Oh,
you could
my fault.
just choose to go be a Chiefs fan. It's that easy.
They lose
You
too.
and Lonzo can hang out together in your red jerseys, red and
If
yellow.
I did that, they would start losing. They would start sucking.
Just
it is
then, Patrick
interesting.
Mahomes would retire.
Oh, yeah, he'd go to Dallas or something, right? He'd go to Dallas where they have a house. Diesel, I do want to do a little check-in on a game coming up here shortly with South Carolina baseball. Also, there have been a couple other games in the ACC tournament. One game has already gone final, but I'm going to expand upon the conversation that we had with Pete Nakos of pulmonary. We've touched on it, but I want to know if you have the kahunas, if you were the AD, if you were Jeremiah Donati, Diesel, Tolos, Gamecock fans, if you're listening, we're going to need your interaction next. Diesel, sometimes I have really deep thoughts.
Do you have these thoughts in a particular room in your house?
No, just now. I just had these deep thoughts.
Is that why you got all quiet?
Well, yeah. I mean, I was thinking about it. And you know how sometimes you think you've got something figured out, like, oh, I think this is right, but then you ask somebody and they're like, well, you forget about this and you forget about. I was warming up. I made a mistake, so let me start over, and then I'm going to ask the question. I had some chicken salad left over from yesterday, from next door. I put it in your mini refrigerator in the office, and I thought it was a refrigerator. Well, I put it on a shelf too high. And I went to grab it during that last break, and guess what it was? The chicken salad, Diesel, was a frozen block.
Like a rock.
It was frozen, solid. So then I ran downstairs to defrost, like heat it up, I guess. And as I was eating it, it was fine, but I had this deep thought while I was eating like 3 spoonfuls of chicken salad. Is there any food that ends with the word salad that you're not supposed to warm up? What I mean is, it seems like everything that ends in salad you eat cold, right? Chicken salad, it's served cold.
Salad.
Pasta salad, potato salad, salad itself.
Yeah.
Salad's not served warm. Is there anything that has the word salad in it that's served warm?
Well, the question is, why does salad mean lettuce salad, and there you don't have to say like green salad, green salad. Why does salad quote with lettuce or spinach or romaine or whatever you want to put in it, with mushrooms and onions and peppers and tomatoes? Why does that get to hog the term salad?
So Tolos, I'm trying to think. Am I missing anything? Because it was a deep, deep thought I had, and it's very, very important. It's not sports related, but I'm sitting here thinking, is there anything that has the word salad in it that you eat warm? Do people eat potato salad warmed up? I don't. Do you?
I don't know. No, I don't think I've ever. No.
You eat it cold, right?
Are there any warm salads?
I don't know. Eric Hines, Diesel throws one at us on the Hub City Spartanburgers text line. This is a good point. Taco salad. But then again,
you don't heat up the lettuce.
You don't heat up the lettuce, yeah.
It'll wilt.
So the only thing that's heated in a taco salad is what? The taco meat, the beef?
The beef.
That's it.
Yeah.
So maybe Eric Hines on the text line, maybe that's...
Thought you had one.
Maybe that's the closest thing, right? I still don't think there's a food out there. If you just tuned into the show, welcome into the show, by the way. He's Diesel, I'm Cole Bryson. I don't think there's any food that ends with the word salad or contains the word salad that you serve warm.
I just Googled, is there such thing as a warm salad?
That sounds weird.
And, I mean, here's steak salad. Never heard of steak salad. That's a thing.
Steak salad.
I mean, everything here is on a bed of greens, and you can't heat up the greens or it'll wilt.
But how weird is it, though? Even like macaroni salad and potato salad is cold. You serve it cold.
Yeah.
Let's see, Diesel. Texter from this is interesting. I think this is JD from the 344 says, my wife prefers potato salad warm. And that's just weird to me. That should be against the law, right? And we've had several texts with German potato salad. I don't know what that is. Do you know what that is? German
No, because to me it feels like if you try to heat it up, it's no longer a salad. Now it's a casserole.
It does feel like that. I'm going to Google German potato salad. It does, Diesel, to your point.
German? I mean, I'm of German descent.
It's like warm, but it's roasted potatoes almost is what it looks like.
Okay, well, that sounds more like a casserole.
It does.
Sounds like blurring the lines, you know?
Yeah, it does. It's interesting. It really is. I don't know why I had that deep thought. Preferring potato salad warm, I'm against that. Totally against that. It's got to be served cold. He says, JD says, yeah.
No, that sounds like a recipe for bubble guts.
It doesn't sound great. It doesn't great. Wesley on Facebook says it's pretty hot when someone tosses a salad. Does that count, Wesley? I'll read anything.
You dirty birdie.
Matt Kraft said spinach salad and kale salads are very often warmed and served that way. I don't. Do I look like I eat spinach and kale salads?
Have you ever eaten spinach?
I've eaten spinach, yeah.
Really?
Not a spinach salad. I guess only spinach leaves and no iceberg lettuce. I don't like that. The spinach leaves.
Spinach is just better when you wilt it down. You put it in some eggs. And
I like it cooked.
Oh yeah,
I like it cooked. I like spinach dip. That's really good. Spinach dip with some good tortilla chips. That's really good. Again, on the text line, a lot of texts coming in, but I don't see anything that leads me to debunk my salad theory. Diesel Corn Chip says, I won't warm it up, but letting pasta salad get to room temp isn't the worst thing. That's fair. Mike Main also said German potato salad. We had like 3 or 4 texts about
German potato salad.
We had 3 or 4 texts about German potato salad from different Tolos out there.
German potato salad.
You'll look at it. It looks like roasted potatoes.
Yeah, it just looks like roasted potatoes with stuff on top.
Looks good, but it doesn't look like potato. It looks different. I try it.
Who was the first person to call this salad? Right? Because that's not like any salad I've ever seen.
Yeah. It's interesting, though. It's interesting. Now I want pasta salad. Really
How
bad.
was your reheated, now we're on the subject, how was your reheated chicken salad?
It was not bad. It was just weird. So I messed up. It goes back to the story of me freezing and accidentally going downstairs, putting it in the microwave.
Yeah, that's the problem.
I left it in the microwave too long.
Oh.
So it was kind of like.
Now does the whole downstairs smell like chicken salad?
It's fine. It's
good. Old chicken salad?
It's nobody down there. It doesn't matter. I mean, people don't come to the. It was weird. It did not taste good warmed up. It did not taste. It just didn't taste.
No,
the
it's
best.
not supposed to be. Chicken salad is supposed to be cold. Yeah. Inherently cold.
So I kind of ruined it. That was a wonderful dinner I had. Wonderful dinner. I mean, I'm going to brag about that one for the next few days. I have a graduation to go to tonight, so I don't think I'm going to get any. I might get something. I don't know. I don't need to. But warm chicken salad, how about that for your Tuesday night dinner? Scotty from BMW is always on the stream talking about, he's a big cook. He's always cooking something. So I'm sure he'll come in and tell me how bad that sounds in a little bit. If you, Diesel, I want to ask this question before we get to Marketplace Monday on a Tuesday coming up in the next segment. And then we also have Daily Wires, by the way. If you were Jeremiah Donati, because there's been a lot of conversation around Paul Mainieri. We had John Whittle on. Pete Nakos just talked about it. We've talked about it 100 times this year. But let's play this version of the game that we haven't played yet. If you had to put yourself in the shoes of Jeremiah Donati, the athletic director at South Carolina, I'll answer what I would do. I want to hear from the Tolos as well, what you would do with Paul Mainieri, what your plan would be. 844-FAN-PHONE, 844-326-3663. But Diesel, I'll give you the floor first. If you were the AD at South Carolina, you've experienced, you're still new in your role and your position, right? You're still considered new. You have the basketball program to look about or to look at, to worry about, to figure out, and now you throw on this. Football program's good, women's basketball good, softball unbelievable. But now you kind of have 2 programs, but just honing in on baseball, if you were paid the money that Jeremiah Donati's paid, what would you do? What would the process look like when this season comes to an end, maybe very soon, for Paul Mainieri?
Look, you don't want to be known as the school that's really twitchy and quick to fire coaches when they've had a bad year. Sure. I mean, if Paul had been there already for 5 years and they were having solid seasons and they just, oh my God, something crazy happens and you only win 6 conference games, you give him the grace to say, look, he's had a couple of great years, and Paul had a lot of great years at LSU. And this is definitely an experiment, right, to see if a legendary coach like Paul can figure it out in a new era at a new school. I wouldn't want to be known as the AD that gets too fast on the trigger. I wouldn't want to be known as the school that will fire you in a heartbeat if one bad season takes place. I think you fall back on his experience and say, you know what? We can do a better job. I can give him more resources, whatever it may be. But privately, you have the conversation and say, Paul, like, that's unacceptable. We can't have another year like that. If it goes down this way again, then we're going to have to really make that tough decision and essentially put the fear of firing it in him. And maybe Paul doesn't care if he gets fired because he's old and he's rich and, you fire me, great. I get to go back to my home, my luxury house, and spend time with my kids.
Diesel, I want to play devil's advocate to something that you said that I think's a very, very interesting point of this conversation. Yesterday, John Whittle said the same thing. He brought the same point up. And I've heard this point several times, and I think it's an interesting point to kind of park on. You said you don't want to be known as the school or the AD that's twitchy, right? That all right, you're going after 1 year. To play devil's advocate, why not? Why not? What if you set a standard at the school that, hey, this is our standard, and if, and I know this is a big if you were to fire Palmineri and you were to go out and get the right guy and make a home run hire, I think then you kind of set yourself up in a position, Diesel, where it's maybe not so much being twitchy, but maybe to the point of, look what our expectations and standards are. We're the university that's able to go and get the guy we want and turn this thing around quickly.
Because coaches who are looking for a job and applying for the job, they don't want to go somewhere where they know one bad year is going to get them fired.
Yeah.
And everybody else in the conference, the other 16 or 15 teams in the conference, are all going to look at recruits and say, hey, your coach could be fired in 1 year if things don't go well. You should come here instead where we actually have stability at our coaching position. Is stability in coaching a fallacy? Yeah, it's a fallacy. But it's a fallacy everybody believes in, and at least tries to believe in or wants to believe in, because you have to have the guise of stability, whether it's there or not.
No, I get that. I do get that. And like I said, I will admit, if they were to just pull the plug, it's risky. Like, there's a lot of risk. It's the risky option to choose. I'm just saying, if you were, and again, there's a lot of ifs that go into this, if you were to go pull the plug and do it and get rid of them and go get a home run hire like Tennessee did a couple of years ago, like other programs have done, all of a sudden, 2 to 3, 4 years from now, Diesel, you look back and it's really not that big of a deal, right, that you fired him. However, if things go south, to your point, yeah, then that's where you kind of start, regretting what you did. It is bad, though. It is bad. Think about this. That you have to be stuck with that mantra as the AD, that you don't want to be the AD that fires someone after a year, because recruits might see that. Other coaches might use that against you. But in the same sport, a player can do the exact same thing. A player can be gone in 1 year and it hurt the coach, right? I'm not saying it's fair either way, but it is interesting when you look at what Palmineri's capable of. And I think John Whittle also brought this up yesterday. Do you continue to kind of just hope and pray? Like, what's hope and prayer going to get you in the sport of baseball, right? Nothing.
I mean, look, if you South Carolina fans, I assume, would like to right the ship and be in the top half of the SEC again and competing for conference championships and regionals and super regionals, right? If you become known as the school that is going to blow out the head coach and replace him with somebody new every year, you're never going to be able to rebuild the program the way that you want to. It takes multiple seasons. You and I both know, and we had the conversation the other day with John Whittle, that Paul didn't even have a full recruiting cycle. He didn't even have a full off season to recruit.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, come on. Is that where we are? That if you can't get it right in like 2 months, you got hired, you had 2 months, and all of a sudden you're coaching a game. You didn't fix them in 2 months? You suck. Get out of here.
Well, you know what? To that point, for me, it's not that you only give them 2 months. For me, it's how bad of a shape this program's in. Like, this program's never been this bad. This program wasn't this bad under Mark Kingston, who was a horrible coach, according to Gamecock fans. So I'm with you. It's unfortunate, but it's the reality of the sport because this program is in dire straits. That's the only way to put it. They're not South Carolina that they used to be. They have had a horrible, horrible season. And Keith and TR brings up a really interesting point as well. He says, look, I don't know if you can keep a guy around that has said on more than one occasion that he underestimated or just didn't know how hard the conference was. Again, that comes from Keith and TR on the Hub City Spartanburgers text line. That's a big part of it. Like, if you keep Paul Mainieri, you've got to have a conversation, don't you, Diesel, and say, look, I know it's tough to win. We all know that. But this whole coming out and talking about it every 2 or 3 weeks, you gotta nip that in the bud.
Yeah, that's Jeremiah Donati's job to tell Paul, hey, knock it off.
Yeah.
Don't bring that up anymore,
Need
Paul.
some coaching.
I mean, like, is it true? Is it really hard to win in the SEC? Of course it is.
Yeah.
Of course it is. It's true. Any coach, whoever has talked about coaching in the SEC, regardless of sport, has all said, man, winning in this conference is really hard. But you don't talk about it with competing outlets because fans will blow it out of proportion and it'll make you look dumb. Just don't do it anymore, Jeremiah, Coach.
And there's just some things you just don't say. Like we talked about the other day with Dabo when he said, winning's hard. Yeah, he's right. We all know that.
We all crucified him for it for months.
Right, and winning is hard. If you've ever been involved in any level of sport, you know winning's hard. However, you say things like that, you're going to get criticized for it, right? That's just, it comes with the territory. I don't know. To answer my own question, Diesel, if I were Jeremiah Donati and I had to make that decision, I would agree with you that we shouldn't pull the plug after 1 year. However, Diesel, in the same breath, I'd also say, Diesel, while I don't want to pull the plug, I also don't want to keep this going. And that's just kind of where you are. That's the tough spot. That's just me personally.
You're forced into a place of patience. Look,
what is that? What?
Right. It's a hard thing to ask anyone to be patient anymore. We've lost our ability to be patient.
I don't have any.
Football used to be, man, you get 6-7 years to figure it out.
Build a program.
Yeah. Build a program because clearly the guy that was here before did a terrible job of it, and that's why we're hiring you. Now it's you better get it figured out in the next 18 months or your ass is grass too.
Keith and TR also goes on the text line to say, also, while it can take several years to rebuild a program with a guy Paul's age, he's only going to be around a short time anyway, and then we're back at square one, which is another aspect you have to look at.
Well, wouldn't you want somebody who has some experience in winning ball games and building a winning culture? It didn't happen for him at LSU overnight, and people want this overnight microwave success, and it's just not realistic.
Here's what the plan, I believe, and we're going to run to a break in a second, but I believe Diesel, Ray Tanner, who I know gets a lot of flack as the AD. I like Ray Tanner, and it's just personal reasons because he's always been nice to me. I think Diesel, the plan was for Paul to kind of revamp the program in a way to where Monty Lee would look really good as the nation's top paid assistant. And then whenever Paul was ready, Monty Lee just continued to roll and build upon what he and Paul Mainieri's already done. However, the problem is Carolina fans are just as fed up with Monty Lee as they are with Paul Mainieri. If Ray Tanner would have thought it through, and he wouldn't have done this because Monty Lee's a good friend of his, maybe last year's the year you should have brought in Landon Powell as a top assistant. Diesel, maybe you bring in Landon Powell as a top assistant last year instead of Monty Lee. And remember, Monty Lee almost took that Citadel job, right? What if Landon was brought in as the assistant, and then Landon Powell, just like Monty is right now, has a big hand in what the program's doing, because Monty has a big hand in what the program's doing right now. It's not all Paul Mainieri. Then maybe with Landon's revitalization of the program's in a better spot in a couple of years. He takes over, they go on, and they're back. It just didn't happen that way. And I don't know that Carolina fans today are excited about the future relationship status with Monty Lee.
I mean, yeah, it's a great idea to bring in Landon Powell. Fire Monty Lee, bring in Landon, make him the coach in waiting. It's a great idea. I brought it up a few days ago. I think it needs to happen. I think that will be the best way for South Carolina fans to feel good about bringing in Landon Powell and making him your coach, because there's that contingent who will say we're not a proving ground, we're not a training ground for new head coaches. We want guys who are established.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if you don't want Landon to take another job, that's how you get him. When we come back, Cole, because we had so much to do yesterday, we didn't get around to it. Let's do our traditional Marketplace Monday on a Tuesday, which is becoming a tradition in and of itself, having a time shift this thing. We'll do it next right here on the Fan Upstate, 97.7 FM in Greenville, 97.1 in Spartanburg, and everywhere on the free Odyssey app. debuting a brand new live chat function on our live stream. Whether you're on Facebook, on Twitter, or on YouTube, you can now magically see every chat that is coming through. Unlike previously, you could only see chats on the platform that you were commenting on.
Dude, that was dumb.
It's really dumb. We get so many chats from Facebook and YouTube especially, a few from Twitter every now and again, but you can only see people who were commenting on the same platform that you were watching on. Well, now you can see it happen in real time going up the screen on the right-hand side.
And
it's
even,
really nice.
Diesel, even, if you say something bad about the guest that we have on, you know, the guests, if they're watching or keeping an eye on it,
don't make us regret it. That's all I'm trying to say.
They can see the comment. Not saying
we
any
can turn
names.
it off
JD.
real quick. Did he really do that?
Yeah.
JD.
Do you put it past him to do that?
Come on.
Of course he did that. Of
Well,
course.
you know, you would think by now, Cole, that he would have learned. You would think that we would learn to make sure we do our Facebook Marketplace on a Monday, but sometimes you just get busy, man. You just forget. So let's jump into it. And, our tradition is doing it on the wrong day, so let's do it in the traditional style.
Doing Marketplace on the wrong day. Gotcha.
Yes. You
I'm sorry.
Come on.
I'm sorry.
Facebook Marketplace on a Monday. Here we go. Cole, the first item up for bids, and your goal, again, is to get as close to the asking price, not the retail price, but the asking price of the item as you possibly can. Tolos, you're invited to play along as well on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube by commenting or by texting in on the Hub City Spartan Burgers text line, 844-326-3663. Here we go, Cole. By far the most valuable item ever featured on Marketplace Monday, a number 3 GM Goodwrench Service Plus Collector's Edition Dale Earnhardt watch. One of 2,900 of these items produced. It comes with a tin case where the watch face is visible through the open window in the case. Pretty sweet. Never seen that before. You can see it on the rundown, a photo of the item. Pretty sweet. What do they say? Raise hell, praise Dale.
Yeah.
Or that doesn't to me. It's raise hail, praise Dale.
Yeah.
With a number 3 on it, the American flag in the 3 o'clock position on the face. It appears to be a gold-plated watch, not a real gold watch, but what do you think is the asking price?
It looks interesting. It does look like you need a microscope to see the actual clock on the watch.
No, it's a full-size watch in there. It is a full-size watch, but inside of this case, it looks
case
small.
is bigger, I guess, right?
Yes, it is a full-size
watch. Then. Little Dale Earnhardt. GM Goodwrench. He's got his little autograph on there. Looks good.
Stamped,
Looks good.
not a real autograph.
Okay, still gold. Pretty case. I mean, look, I think there's definitely somebody out there that would buy it. I think it'd be better as a gift. I'm not good. This is tough. I'm going to go $85.
$85. Well, they'll take it because it's currently listed for $60.
A little too high.
Little high.
Too high. Okay, I was not too far off.
I mean, if you looked at the other photos, you'd see the watch looks in okay shape. The case, the front side looks good. The back side kind of scuffed up. And you pay for everything, and you don't want it to be in rough shape. So,
all right, this is an end table.
End table. Okay.
An end table that I'm going to describe to you. It's brown. However, it is
sounds good so far.
It sounds good.
Sounds expensive.
It does. It is Minnesota Vikings end table. So it's pretty cool. You have I'm going to call it a cap or a lid that goes on top, and the cap that goes on top of the table is almost the full size of the table, right? Mm-hmm. And it's also a nice wooden plate, I'm going to call it, with a big yellow Minnesota Vikings logo stamped on the top of it. And then when you open that plate or take that plate off, there is a picture of the stadium, the Minnesota Vikings stadium.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it is cool, really. I'm going to show you on the stream. I'm not going to show you the price,
Show me the price.
So that's kind of, if you can see.
So it's a round table.
It's a round table.
Okay.
You see the
It's a
stadium?
photograph inside. Okay,
Yeah.
that's actually kind of
It is
cool.
neat. It is neat.
If I'm a hardcore Vikings fan,
Yeah. It
I
is
want
pretty
it
cool.
for my man cave.
And on the back, there's like this gold piece of paper that says, I don't know, something about Willy Wonka Chocolate Factory. No. Minnesota Vikings end table has some cursive writing that I can't read, and maybe NFL Properties LLC trademark. Maybe it's official.
So it looks to be in pretty decent shape. I'm going to say this table
It is pretty cool.
listed here in South Carolina, right?
Let me make sure. Yeah.
Okay. Not a lot of Vikings fans around here. Not a ton, I should say. I'm going to say this item is listed for $150.
Oh boy,
I'm way low.
you are way low. Way
What?
low.
No way. Nobody's
Way
going to
low.
drop more than $150 for this.
Oh, you said 100 and what?
150.
Yeah, you're way low.
No, they're not going to get it.
Yeah, you're way low.
$300.
No, you said what?
300. Good God. Is the person on drugs? What are they storing in there?
Yes, they're on drugs.
Oh, they're on drugs. $500. Jeez. What? Who are you?
An end table.
Who are you asking that? Yeah. No way. It's $750.
$685.
Good God.
$680.
I mean, if I could put a pony keg in there and pump some beer through it, that'd be a cool table. Come on. What is wrong with people?
$685 for an end
What
table.
is wrong with
You
people?
know, I wouldn't. I mean, that's a lot of money to drop for an end table.
Jeez.
$685.
It's probably not even solid. It's probably bolted together, cheap, flat pack crap.
Do you think they'll get that?
No, get out of town. They might get $50 for it.
50.
Come on.
That's a fun one, though.
Who was the guest we had on who played football here locally, ended up playing for the
Najee
Vikings?
Thompson.
Najee Thompson. Maybe
Yeah,
Najee would buy it.
Doubt it.
He's like, I don't want that crap.
It's a lot of money for an end table. It really is.
Here's a wild one for you, Cole.
All right.
This is assuming it's real, and we're going to pretend that it is for the sake of this game here. It might be one of the most unique items we've ever heard on Marketplace Monday. This is a 50th anniversary, New York Yankees 50th anniversary of Yankee Stadium, autographed home plate. And you're saying, that sounds pretty cool. I found some patents on this, a description of what this item is, because the actual listing doesn't tell you much. This is from a different website. It says the historic provenance of the home plate offered is affirmed by the mayor of New York City, John V. Lindsay's handwritten inscription on the face of this relic.
Wow.
To Jay Schwal, hoping you treasure this memory, home plate from the greatest stadium in baseball, John V. Lindsay, Christmas 1973. The home plate was presented to Mayor Lindsay from the New York Yankees during the 73 season, as indicated by the affixed plate, which reads, Yankee Stadium, the house that Ruth built, 50th anniversary, 1923 to 1973, Bronx, New York. So it does feature that inscription on the plate. It features autographs from, but not limited to, some great baseball players: Thurman Munson, Dick Hauser, Sparky Lyle, Rick Dempsey, Whitey Ford, who was a coach at the time, Lou Piniella, and about 24 other signatures on the plate. Somehow, some way, this 50th anniversary New York Yankees autographed home plate ended up in Union Mills, North Carolina. How it got there, don't know, but this item is for sale. What is it listed for on Facebook Marketplace?
It's a weird item.
Yeah, it is.
Weird item.
It's straight.
You said
It's
so
a
much,
one of
I've already
one.
forgotten what it was. No, it's, I'm going to guess, it is unique. Unique it is.
Home plate autographed to commemorate the 50th
Yeah.
anniversary of Yankee Stadium.
It's
I mean,
gonna be
that's
up there.
that's an amazing piece of sports memorabilia.
I'm gonna go north of 500, but south of 2,000.
You'd be wrong on all of those accounts.
Less than 5?
Less.
Oh wow! I thought for
I
New
know.
York Yankees,
I would think so too.
250.
$300. This is if this is real,
If
if
it's
this
real.
could be authenticated,
Wow.
and like the again, how did this thing end up in Union Mills, North? I don't
Take
even know where
that
that is.
to Vegas to the what's the TV show they did out there? The Pawn
Pawn
Stars.
Stars.
Yeah,
But you'd have to buy it first.
Yeah. See if they can. That is, I thought it'd be more. I have one more for you. This is a full-sized car hood. Not just a normal hood. It's, I wanted to see what you're NASCAR.
Okay.
Diet Mountain Dew 88 for Dale Jr. It's got the NASCAR logo, Hendrick Motorsports, Diet Mountain Dew, the red 88. Bottom left corner obviously has his autograph, as were on all of his hoods. Full size. It is a collector's car hood from the 88 car.
Do people like go nuts over collecting Dale Jr. stuff the way they do senior? I mean, I think eventually probably they will.
I don't know that it's the same as senior, but this is an interesting price on this.
God, $450. $450. It's just a guess.
If you give them $450, they will take it.
Take it and run.
Run.
$200.
$85.
Why not make it $88? I mean, if you got
88, that's what it should.
Car on
I'm going to message them and say I will take it for 88.
They probably take it.
They probably take it. It's
put
weird,
it in the studio, lean it up against the wall.
It would be cool to have. It really is. I mean, it'd be cool to have like in the studio.
Is it in
like
pristine shape, or has it been like wrecked or something?
No, it looks like it's good. I also saw a Ward Burton NASCAR roof for $160. That's bad that
Ward Burton?
Ward Burton's going above Dale Jr. But that's my two. Most of my marketplace lately has been cars, as I've been in the deep, dark hole of looking at cars on marketplace or trucks. But that's my two.
Is Harrison Burton, who's currently racing in the Xfinity Series, is he related?
Yes.
Related to Ward or
I think so.
Jeff
Burton. I think it's all the same family.
Here's we're going to bring this one local here, Cole. These are 4 stadium seats taken directly out of Fluor Field. Greenville Drive stadium seats.
Do they know they were
straight
taken?
Out of the stadium from 2014, condition used and good.
Are they hot?
I don't think so. How do you make out with 4 seats? I mean, they're like the full stadium seats.
Grab your seat. Let's go.
They're bolted into some plates. I mean, maybe they did a renovation.
BYOW. Bring your own wrench and unhook that bad boy. I guess 4 green. That's interesting. You found those on Marketplace,
but it's also it's Greenville Drive. Like, what kind of market is there for drive stadium seats? I mean, think of all the butts and the farts that have been on these things
for a team that gets beat by a first-year Spartanburgers team.
Split the series too.
That's weird. 4 seats. It just has like the logo on it.
It's hard to say. Let me
it's on the
zoom
rundown?
in here closer. Yeah, it's on the rundown. There seems to be like it's got the Greenville Drive. It's got kind of like a stamped steel plate
cushion
on the side of it.
Like cushion.
Yeah. Maybe these came from behind home plate. Maybe they came from the Green Monster.
Again, something really cool to have like in here in the studio, right?
Yeah,
against
it'd be nice
the wall.
if we had space.
Under the TV. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
4 total seats, $165.
Good luck. You're not going to get it for that. You're not going to come close.
$425.
Keep going, buddy.
Yeah. $810.
You're on the money right there. $800.
Yeah.
But $800 is down from what they were previously listed for $1,500. What kind of idiot thinks he's going to list this thing? He's got to drop the price by half to try to sell this thing. He's still not going to sell it for $800.
That's crazy. That unless the drive's selling, I'm trying to make some. I don't know. Attendance has been low. That's wild. That is no thanks. No thanks on that one. That's a lot of moolah for some
minor
chairs.
League stadium seats. Get
for
out
some
of town.
chairs. That's all they are. A bunch of chairs.
Yeah.
Daily Wires, the headlines, what's happening in the sports world. We'll tell you next. don't have an excuse to not know what's going on in the sports world, Tolos, because we tell you what's happening every day in a segment called Daily Wires.
Bzz.
It's the buzz of what's happening right now.
We could get a sound effect for this, but it's just, I think people like it.
Yeah.
The lo-fi version.
Yeah. Nothing wrong with it. Nothing wrong. The Braves back in action here in just a little while. 6:45 against the Nationals. Spencer Strider on the mound for the Bravos tonight against Washington's Walker Buehler, the wrong Buehler there. Wonder if Buehler ever gets a day off. You think they ever give him a day off up there? I don't know if they do or not. But
I wonder how many times a week he hears that joke.
probably a lot, right? Probably a lot. You would imagine. That's a good joke. I mean, it's a good movie.
Classic. It's classic is what it is.
Great movie.
Have you seen it?
Of course. I wouldn't be
Okay.
making the reference if I hadn't seen it.
I don't know.
I mean, come on.
You haven't seen anything.
That's a good movie. That's a really good. I love Ferris Bueller. I don't know how we got on that. Anyways, the Braves. Let's see if they can take care of business tonight up in the nation's capital. The Gamecocks and Gators, Diesel. They are underway in Hoover, Alabama. We'll have a score update for that on for you shortly. Also, a vote on whether to allow NFL players to participate in flag football at the 28 Olympics is expected to pass at Tuesday's league meeting in Minneapolis, sources told ESPN's Adam Schefter.
You ever see those videos of was it Tyreek doing the flag football with girls, and they couldn't even come close to getting a flag on him. So Tyreek Hill, he was so good. South Carolina currently top of the first, leading Florida 1-0. By the way,
Say that again.
South Carolina leading Florida 1-0.
South Carolina Gamecock, not Hurricanes.
Top of the first. Top of the first. Florida has not come to bat. Relax. Long way to go in this game.
Hey,
but I mean, do you think we could see that, Cole? 'Cause, you don't see a lot of international players in the NFL. Yeah. What if you put the best of the best in the NFL in flag football? They would wipe the floor with everyone else.
They would wipe it once, twice. They do it. Yeah, wouldn't be good. It would not be good at all. That's interesting though about South Carolina. Let's see. The Bears and two-time All-Pro guard Joe Thuney made a 2-year agreement contract extension, $17.5 million per season. Not a bad contract extension for $17.5 million. $51 million in total. Also, after completing lucrative deals with George Kittle and Brock Purdy, the 49ers have done the same with Fred Warner, Diesel, who gets a $63 million contract extension. Oh, my word.
I'd like to have $63, let alone $63 million.
You mentioned this earlier. MLB will experiment with a technology system to challenge check swings in a single-A Florida State or in a Florida State league starting on Tuesday with a Hawkeye system. I love this, don't you? We need this.
Love it.
Need this. Need more Hawkeye.
We just played the butt buzzers promo a while ago, so it's about time.
The Carolina Hurricanes, Diesel, are in action tonight versus the Florida Panthers in Game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals. Tonight in the NBA, the Timberwolves Thunder, Game 1 of the Western Conference Finals. The Thunder favored by 7.5 points. And last one for you before we run to a break, and we're going to talk some more NBA on the other side. Terrible news here. In case you missed it over the weekend, former longtime SMC baseball coach Tim Wallace passed away over the weekend after a 9-month battle with brain cancer. Really good friend of mine. I was in the same Duck club with him. Wallace Diesel was 64 years old. Just sad stuff there. To hear. He was a really good, a legend in the parts of Spartanburg, a longtime baseball coach. But
Was he a great shot?
He was a really good shot. A lot better than me. He was good, man. He was awesome. I had a lot of fun mornings duck hunting with him. He was a good one.
When we come back, we spent some time earlier, and we'll get back into the conversation here. Just how valuable is coaching in the NBA right now as the stars seem to be taking a step back maybe in importance and the coaches taking a step forward? We'll talk about it next right here on The Fan Upstate.